Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be reviewing the anticipated Papo 2023 Mosasaurus. 2023 seems to be the year of Mosasaurus. We've got this one, the Collected Deluxe. Bandai is releasing a 3D puzzle as a part of their Planosaurus line, which looks pretty good. And Nanmu is going to be releasing a second version of their Jurassic World style Mosasaurus in the summer. So this new Papo model was first revealed online back in the fall of 2021 and was supposed to be released in late 2022, but it got delayed because Papo was one of those companies that experienced production problems due to a certain world event. So we had to wait quite some time for the release of this sea reptile figure. I have to say, this is the most excited I've ever been for a Papo figure. You guys know I absolutely love prehistoric marine animals, especially mosasaurs, and I've always wanted to see a marine reptile done in Papo's usual lifelike style, especially since their last mosasaur, a Tylosaurus to be specific, was just the definition of abysmal. Also, that was made over a decade ago. So seeing Papo releasing this neat looking mosasaurus is a breath of fresh air. They're also releasing a Chronosaurus later this year, which also looks fantastic. Let's do some quick measurements with the flexible ruler. From head to tail, this mosasaur is about 25.5 centimeters long or 10 inches. And along the curve, it measures 31 centimeters long. So Mosasaurus hoffmanni, which is the species this model is likely representing, was estimated to be around 12 to 13 meters long or 39 to 43 feet. So with those measurements, this model would be in the 139 to the 142 scale range. Starting off with the head sculpt, it looks very neat. For most of Papo's prehistoric animals, the body proportions and the poses tend to be quite wacky, but they always manage to do a good job with making the heads look accurate, and this Mosasaurus is no exception. You can see that the skull is elongated and quite robust, more heavily built than the Tylosaurian Mosasaurus. Then opening up the jaw, it moves very wide and smoothly. There's the knife-like teeth, the pterygoid teeth in the back, and the forked tongue, showing this animal's relation to modern-day monitor lizards. Across the body, you can see all of that lovely scalation. On the front flippers, there's the outlines of the bones and some thicker scales on those bone outlines. If you look closely, there are actually barnacles sculpted all across the model. And I think that is a very nice touch. Not a whole lot of other prehistoric sea creature figures have barnacles. The ones that come to mind is the Papo Chronosaurus, the Collected Shastasaurus, and the Collected Basilosaurus. There's the speculative dorsal fin. There is no direct evidence of mosasaurs having dorsal fins, but I think it's quite likely given that many modern-day cetaceans have them. Then you've got the rear fins. Going down, the long muscular tail. There's the shark-like tail fluke, and I love all the lines sculpted on it. Going down to the underbelly, the scales here are more visible and crispy, and they're quite uniform. They seem to be a square shaped. The chest muscles are showing right there, and unfortunately, there is no feces dispenser. Of course, this Mosasaurus is not 100% accurate. Some of the inaccuracies includes the shrink wrapping on the skull and on the flippers. They almost resemble webbed feet. And the dorsal fin, well, the dorsal fin, like I've already said, is speculative. Mosasaurs may or may have not had them. And for the tail fluke, while it's great that Papo acknowledges that these sea reptiles had tail flukes, but this one does look quite thin and looks like something you would see on a ray-finned fish. And if you look closely, the fin actually continues underneath the tail, so it almost resembles an eel at the same time. But these inaccuracies can be excused since Papo doesn't strive for scientific accuracy and they always like to take creative liberties with their prehistoric animals. I really do enjoy the paint job. It's appealing and it really fits this large oceanic predator. The primary color on the top is this grayish blue, and there is some brown on the barnacle and on the tail fluke. It's also nice how they added this cool little striping on the tail. On the underbelly, it's a light gray color, and there's some rusty brown highlights across. The rusty brown is more visible on the chest, the neck, the lower jaw, and on the lips. The eye is yellow with a brown pupil. the teeth are beige, and the interior of the mouth is pink. Now let's talk about the pose. Papo is continuing their trend of giving their dinosaurs and prehistoric animals active poses, but unlike some of their other figures, like the Cryolophosaurus or the Giganotosaurus, this pose doesn't look too dramatic. It actually looks like the animal can pull off this position in real life. It looks like the Mosasaurus is facing off against another member of its own species or pursuing a prey item. Starting off with the comparisons, let's bring in all of the other Mosasauruses that I have. Here is the 2023 Collecte Deluxe Mosasaurus, the definitive figure of this animal. And here is the older Collecte model from 2014. The PNSO Mosasaurus, which is the largest figure of this reptile, excluding the Mattel toys and all of those other Jurassic World style Mosasaurs. Here is the Schleich Mosasaurus. While it's far from being a top tier figure, it's still charming. Here are two of Safari Ltd's models, the Carnegie Collection and the Wild Safari. Lastly, for Mosasauruses, here is the one from Takara Tomy and Favorite Co. Ltd. Let's bring in some Tylosaurus models, starting off with the one from PNSO, the Carnegie Collection, and the 2017 Safari Ltd figure. Here is the PNSO Mini Ectenosaurus. When companies make Mosasaurus, they usually do Tylosaurus or Mosasaurus itself, which is unfortunate since there are a lot of Mosasaur species. Prognathodon or Platycarpus would be great. Next up are some PNSO models. Here is the Kronosaurus, the Leviathan or Leviathan, the Cratoxyrhina, and the Dunkleosteus. Here are some of Collecte's marine creatures, the Elasmosaurus, Shastasaurus, and Anomalocaris. Right here is the Collecte Deluxe Megalodon. Let's bring in the massive Schleich Shonisaurus and the Walking with Dinosaurs Liopleurodon from Toyway. Now let's bring in some Papo figures. Here is the Plesiosaurus from 2010, which is actually their first prehistoric marine animal. And while it's not the worst thing, it's still very lackluster compared to this Mosasaurus. And here is the Papo Megalodon. Again, not the worst thing Papo has done, but it just looks like Mega Shark from those cheesy sci-fi films. Next up, we have the large carnivorous theropods from Papo. The classic T-Rex and Spinosaurus, the Acrocanthosaurus, the Baryonyx, and the Giganotosaurus. As you can see, this Mosasaurus is quite a large model. It's in the same size range as these theropods. Next is the medium-sized Allosaurus and the massive limited edition Spinosaurus. Here are the smaller-sized carnivores, the Dilophosaurus, Carnotaurus, Feathered Velociraptor, Ceratosaurus, Cryolophosaurus, and Gorgosaurus. Next up, we have the smaller-sized herbivores, the Styracosaurus, Pachyrhinosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Chilesaurus, and the Stygimoloch. Lastly, for Papo figures, here are some large herbivores, the Triceratops, Pentaceratops, and Iguanodon. Papo is actually releasing an Ionosaurus later this year, and I might pick it up depending on how it looks in person. Last but not least, here is the Papo Mosasaurus next to the Collecte Xiphactinus and the Collecte Mini Xiphactinus. Well, there you have it, everyone. That wraps up my review on the new for 2023 Papo Mosasaurus. So, was this model worth the extra long wait? I have to say, yes, the wait was worth it. Despite some of its inaccuracies, this Mosasaurus is a wonderful model. The detailing is great, the coloration is realistic and appealing at the same time, the size is very good, and the articulated jaw opens wide and moves smoothly. It's nice to see a great looking marine reptile joining Papo's prehistoric range. So I'm going to give this marine reptile figure a 9 out of 10. It's definitely one of my new favorite Papo figures ever, and it makes me even more excited for the upcoming Kronosaurus. It still shows that Papo is capable of making good prehistoric animal models. If you want to buy one for yourself, Everything Dinosaur is the best place to get one. They have great prices and fast shipping. So if you guys enjoyed this review, leave a comment down below, hit that like and subscribe button. It really supports my channel. And I will see you all in the next video.